Shalom, everybody. It is Rabbi Shmuel ben Yehoshua, Rabbi Stephen, Rashbi Ein Aus. I think I said that right in Yiddish. Anyway, so this week's portion is Miketz. We are in the midst also of Hanukkah. And I want to thank Rabbi Abrams from Temecula Chabad, who was gracious enough. I was invited to the menorah lighting and Menifee by the Interfaith Council, and he just brought me up and made me feel welcome. And thank you, Rabbi Abrams, for that. And it was a beautiful event. He pressed olive oil, old school, using a press, the way the Maccabees would have done it. And there was fun games. There was a lot of different people, a lot of people from the Jewish community, from the Christian community. And again, thank you to the Christian community for supporting us and being our friends. It's very important these days with the rise of anti-Semitism. And, we don't really feel that a lot in this area, and I think it's because of that, because we have a very sympathetic non-Jewish community. So thank you to that. So this Shabbat is very, very special. It is the only Shabbat where we take out 3 Torahs, or if you're German, 3 Torahs. We take out the Torah for the regular portion, Miketz, and we take out another Torah because it's Hanukkah. And then we take out the 3rd Torah because this particular Shabbat is also Rosh Hodesh. And it is Rosh Hodesh, I'm looking real quick, so I want to make sure, Tevet. So we go from Kislev to Tevet, this particular Shabbat, and the Maftir is read from the new moon, and the Haftorah is a special Haftorah reading for the new moon, for the new month. So 3 Torahs, only time of the year we do this. And sometimes the new month does not fall on Shabbat during Hanukkah. And by the way, for a minor holiday, Hanukkah has a Torah reading every single day because the word Hanukkah means dedication. Remember that it was the Maccabees, a small band of renegades, of Jewish renegades from the Hasmonean family of the high priests. They were beating back the Seleucids, the Greek Assyrians that came in and tried to take over Judea and impose their culture and their heritage and their gods on us. They desecrated the synagogue. And when the Maccabees went in, after winning, after a long war, they found that there wasn't enough olive oil to light the menorah. Now you're thinking menorah? Yes. In Judaism, we actually have 2 menorahs. The first one is the menorah that was created for the temple, that was lit every day, and it had seven stems. The Hanukkah menorah, otherwise known as the Hanukkiah, has 9. You've got the Shemesh, which is helper, and it means helper. And then you've got the eight stems where we put a candle in each day. We go from the left, and we add candles to the left, but we light them to the right. Okay, the newest one gets lit first, and that's a different type of menorah that's only used for Hanukkah. And there's not a lot of mitzvot associated with Hanukkah. It really is a minor holiday because it commemorates a battle. And the Hanukkiah is kosher if the stems all line up. I've seen some funky menorot that we've got the shamash that's kind of that the 8 are in a line, but the one comes out like this. Not a kosher menorah. That's kind of the way it is. That's what they determine because you want to go in a line. We do a Hallel every day. We do a Torah reading every day. And Hanukkah, the word means dedication. Because again, the temple was ransacked by the Seleucids, and they went in and they repaired it, etc., etc., and they rededicated the second temple. So, what does that have to do with Miketz, which is this week's Torah portion? Because here we find Joseph, who is let out of prison in order to interpret Pharaoh's dreams. Pharaoh has 2 dreams, and they affect him deeply. It was almost a prophecy. It was real. We've all had those dreams where we wake up and we say, wow, I'm so glad that was a dream and it wasn't real. With Pharaoh, it was even more than that because he saw the cows come up on the out of the Nile, and he saw the plump cows, and then he saw the raggedy cows eat the plump cows, and guess what? the raggedy cows just they didn't look like they had eaten. Usually you have a big dinner and you're loosening your belt. That wasn't the case with the cows. Same with the corn. The nice ears sprout up, and then the raggedy corn came in and just overtook that corn, and there was nothing there. It was 7 stalks of corn, 7 cows. And none of his magicians or wise men, chachamim, first time in the Torah that word is used, chacham, for a wise person, could interpret it to his satisfaction. So now the chief, the wine bearer, remembered, there was this Hebrew a couple of years ago that I met that could interpret dreams, and he told him about how, both he and the baker were in prison for offending Pharaoh, and, he lived, and the baker was killed, was executed. And Joseph was able to discern that from the dreams. Actually, it wasn't Joseph. He said, no, it was God. It was Hashem that did it. So Pharaoh calls him, and Joseph says, not only is God going to tell you what the dream is, God's going to talk through me, he's going to tell you what the dream is, he's also going to tell you what to do about it. Because remember, when the scraggly cows ate the plum cows, they didn't look like they had eaten, right? So the point of it was that the 7 cows and the 7 ears of corn represented 7 years of plenty, and the 7 scraggly cows, the 7 scraggly ears of corn, represented the 7 years of famine. But since the cows hadn't grown from eating, Joseph said, you got to save the grain. You got to put the grain away, right? And Pharaoh, it kind of hit him. Pharaoh kind of instinctively said, yeah, that's it. That's the answer. In fact, I'm quoting a line from a movie, in fact, I want you to be the one who oversees that. And he says, all of Egypt except me will bow down to you, will honor you. So Joseph is now the viceroy, okay, the assistant to the king. He is only second in command. He is second in command only to Pharaoh, only to the king. And he gets a signet ring, gets a staff, gives him a new name, Zappaneth Paneah. We've talked about this before. He becomes Egyptianized in a way. And he has to be because, the Egyptians were xenophobic. Like a lot of those cultures were back then. Unfortunately, a lot of cultures are today. They don't like outsiders, so they have to Egyptianize him and make him one of them. So, of course, Joseph grows, and he marries Potiphar's daughter, Asenath, and he has 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and he grows a beard. He gets a little older, gets a little wiser, wears the Egyptian clothes, and he makes sure that there's no famine. So over in Canaan, we have Jacob and his family, and they're starting to run out of food. Now, one of the commentaries, this is interesting, says that it wasn't the same famine. That famine only hit Egypt. Canaan was also having dire straits out there themselves on another situation, or maybe they just didn't plan ahead very well. But Jacob says, go to Egypt. I heard that through the travelers, they've got extra grain, and go buy some. So of course we know the story. The 10 brothers. He doesn't want to. Benjamin is the only other son left from Rachel out of the 2, so he doesn't want to risk Benjamin going. He sends the other sons. They get all the jobs, right? They have to do the work, and they've got the privileged kids there and whatever, right? So they go to Egypt. They approach the viceroy, and they come in through the same gate. And apparently the Midrash says that only enough to a customer, and we only got so much grain, we just can't keep giving it out. So it's like one of those special sales around this time of the year, only 2 to a customer, only 3 to a customer. So Joseph recognizes them right away. They didn't recognize him at all. He had a beard, he's wearing the Egyptian clothes. He was speaking Egyptian. There was no reason, and they didn't know what happened to Joseph. They assumed that he had died. So they had no reason to believe, there's Joseph sitting in front of us, selling us grain. And Joseph starts to play with him. And he starts to play with them because he sees these people, and all the issues start coming back up. How's Benjamin? Did they do to Benjamin what they did to him? Did they transfer that jealousy and that resentment to Benjamin? Have they regretted some of the things that they've done? And in a word, yes, they did. And in fact, the portion ends because you remember he sets up them to go back and bring Benjamin, and he puts Simeon in jail, as a hostage, as a tribute. And Benjamin comes back, and they plant something on Benjamin, and now he's going to put him in prison. And Judah steps up and says, "No, take me." And that's kind of where we're leading into. So, what is the connection between Miketz and Hanukkah? Well, in Hanukkah we add the extra prayer where we say, the few overtook the mighty, the weak overtook the strong, the righteous overtook the evil. And in a way, that's kind of what's happening here, because here we have the Israelites coming in. Joseph is an alien. He's a Hebrew. He's not an Egyptian. And here he is saving the country. So there's kind of a parallel there. Also heard that, and this is from Cantor Joe, who was at our synagogue, overseeing our synagogue about 15 years ago. He said, and look at this when you have a chance, that particular Torah portion, Miketz, all the verses starts with the letter Vav, and Vav means and. Vav, or sometimes U, means and all the verses start with the letter Vav, except for maybe just 6 or 7 or 8 verses. There's your Hanukkah candles. So, all right, so happy Hanukkah to all of you. Light your candles, eat your jelly donuts, fry some chicken, eat your potato latkes. We got some recipes online. We will be having another service probably in a couple of weeks from this Shabbat. It's, we've had family out and it's been tough, so we'll see in a few weeks. So Shabbat Shalom, happy Hanukkah, and thank you for listening.